What is up? Para, I think I got your message on Instagram. You want to go ahead and log in? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, Twist? How's everybody doing tonight? Just give me a minute. I literally just walked in the door, so I'm trying to make sure Para's good to go. There we go. What's up?
Let me get back to the YouTube so I can see the chat. Okay, now I'm in.
You can see the comments through there.
Yeah, I know you have to you put StreamYard on. I'm still visible, but I'm in so I can see the comments and stuff.
Okay.
But you have to pause the YouTube or you get feedback.
You're breaking up.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I better now?
No, it's still staticky.
I might just have to go and let you do the. How am I now?
You're good now.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to be able to watch the YouTube chat and the so.
That's fine. If there's a question for you on StreamYard, you can look at your comments. You could just go to private chat and it'll display all the comments if you wanted to look at those.
So this will comments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. Bam.
There you go. You're good to go now.
Learning
How was your day?
Learning something new every day.
Yes, sir. That's you're never too old to learn something new. What's up, Jess? How you doing tonight?
Right.
I just got home from the madness of people doing Christmas shopping and whatnot. I'm one of the last minute shoppers. I wait till the last day to do all my shopping. How about you, Para?
I have no Christmas shopping. I do blanket exchanges with my friends for Yule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not too big. Like people always ask me what I want for Christmas. I'm always picky because if I want something, I get it myself. But I'd rather give to somebody than somebody give something to me. That's just how I am.
Yeah, I'm a giver.
Yeah. So, how was your day?
Just routine. My medicines, my side effects are kicking in off my medicines, so I had to half my dose. I got little muscle spasms. So
okay. Well, is it just you said it's a side effect to your medication?
Yeah, I take medicine. I'm bipolar schizoaffective.
Okay. So I'm sure we'll go into if you want to. It's up to you because I know there's a segmentation when it comes to people being bipolar and whatnot. But you were able to talk as much as you want to later on. Tell me a little about yourself while we're getting things started, while people are jumping in.
I come from a family of with 3 brothers, 2 younger, 1 older. I grew up in the Bay Area of California, and single mom, and I had a rough childhood. I was a dreamer, so I had to have the right teachers got through to me, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, did you have trouble whenever you were a kid just trying to learn, or teachers just weren't paying attention to you, or what was the issue?
My mind strayed a lot. I had a hard time staying functioned on. I daydreamed a lot, and to interest me, I had to have something that. It took an interesting person to teach me, and I know there's like 4 teachers I had that have always, 3 teachers that stood out to me. My grade teacher, Mr. Brown. He was very strict. Like making you hold out books and stuff. But he also did things like we'd build missions in classrooms by using fake Adobe.
Mm-hmm.
So and he was strict, but he got through to me. And then my seventh grade teacher, I did my seventh grade year in my elementary school because our budget, our school our school district mishandled the budget and they had to close the middle schools. So a generation of seventh graders went to their elementary school for their seventh grade year.
So they went to the school, the actual elementary school for their seventh grade. How was
Yeah,
that?
I stayed.
How was
Go
that
ahead.
with the little water fountains and whatnot? I'm sure that was interesting.
Well, that teacher, Miss Mitchell, was like she's a petite black woman, and man, she had a passion for teaching. She was a professor for education, and she was stepping down out of her. She taught at a university, but she stepped down to teach a class, and she told us that, like halfway through the first part of the school year that they're trying to introduce this curriculum, and I'm not going to be teaching you that. I'm going to teach you how to learn.
That's
I'm going to
good.
educate you how to learn. This isn't. It was back when they were introducing funky new education, and she inspired me to no end.
So she inspired you. Did she like take out time for to get like one on one with you to help you learn and whatnot? If you wasn't
No,
understanding the subject, or
she just inspired the whole class.
okay,
Um, One example is the district had a Sin Quain contest. You know what Sin Quain is?
no, I don't.
It's kind of like a haiku, but it's a different syllable structure. And here's the example of one of the earlier lessons I learned. I had a friend. Well, I begin this first. As a class, did an example. It was a district competition for a contest, and they would go. Each school would have a nominated Sin Quain would nominate a certain, and then that would go and the district would vote on it, and you'd get put in a book and get uh, to see who won.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our class did did an example on the board, and I did half of that, and the class did the other half because I just I was rainbow something shiny, and then mine was so when we did our own, I did one on falcon, swooping, gliding, diving, a beautiful sight, aerial acrobatic. And our class entered them, and I got second place. But here's the thing: the person that got first place was one of my classmates and kind of a friend of mine. Uh, he got first place, but here's the thing: he used the class sample,
Mm-hmm.
and it got entered. So he won first place with
He stole
the
some.
class sample.
Basically copied off of the class sample, but he got first place out of it.
Yeah, and I did half of that. So I led technically my class got first place. And I got second. Now
So
I could have made a big deal about that. I could have said, hey, he got, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But here's why I didn't. Because Dale, the kid that got first place, his dad used to beat him because he lived down the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad used to beat him because we'd go over there and his dad would threaten to beat him in front of us. He could never do anything right to please his dad. And that moment, I knew that he needed that win.
Yeah. It's good, especially like that. You were looking out for him. You could have very easily called him out for what he was doing. Maybe he was doing that to get attention. Maybe he was wanting that recognition from his father, just to say, "Hey, I did something," to make him proud. People are always like we're always trying to look for um, acknowledgement or of our parents. Even me
Yeah.
myself, I was little. I could always remember times that I was just trying to do something so they at least acknowledge me. So I totally understand where you're coming from. It speaks a lot about you as well. If you could take one thing that you've learned from your teachers, what would it be?
That you uh that i- if you stay true to what education is, and what I learned was you got to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned to learn. One of the things I used to do when I was a problem in the sixth grade, I got busted, and they wanted to expel me because I hit the principal.
What
I
what
had a
happened?
mental break in class, and I threw a desk, I threw a potted plant, and they wanted to expel me, but my mom said, "Look, the kid lost his best friend, a new friend, I should say, and his grandfather within like a month and a half period. Cut
Mm.
him some slack." So instead, they put me on the principal's table, and I couldn't go on any field trips or anything. But instead, they would put me in school suspension, where I would sit and copy encyclopedias. The joke's
Mm.
on them, because that wasn't a fun discipline to me. That was fun.
And that helped you learn.
Yeah, it got
Was
me interested in reference and stuff.
Well, I mean, you were a kid, you were grieving. You said you lost your best friend and your grandfather all within a short time span. So, I mean, kids don't know how to process grief. So you were trying to
Yeah.
lash
Well,
out in the way you could.
Here's the kicker to how I lost my grandfather was my dad. He was my step grandfather. Pardon me. My dad stabbed him.
Wow.
So it was already in my life, but then he wasn't going to be in my life because he got 17 years for that. The only reason he got 17 years is because he tried to help him after he stabbed him.
After he tried to kill him, he just grew up
Yeah,
conscious and said, "Oh, let me try to help him."
yeah. But on that principal's table for lunch recess, the janitor saw me sitting there and said, "Grab a broom. You're going to start helping me." And so I learned janitorial, which became kind of my trade.
So, throughout your childhood, was you um I don't know how to word this question. Were you like an achiever? Did you make good grades?
Just enough to get by.
Hmm.
So
So how did that transition into your adulthood? Um did you go to
I've
college
always
and
done just enough to get by. My jobs and stuff, I've always preferred temporary jobs. Like my first job was when I was 14. I got a job as at a senior citizen center, and I ran the reference desk and helped custodial. And the following summer, I got a job as a page in a library, a
Mhm.
public library, and then I got a job. I got placed for summer employment at a university library. So
So
most of my jobs,
you've always had odd jobs just to get by, whatnot.
yeah, I became a temp. Like my nickname became Dabbler, but
Hmm.
uh, my fur. I signed myself. I would have been a super senior, which is an 18-year-old senior. But as soon as I turned 18, I signed myself out. And since the Gulf War was going on, they were taking the GI Bill, or the GI cap, which is they were taking people with GEDs and
Hmm.
only reserves. So I went into the Army Reserves. But that only lasted about a year, because uh, my I that's when my symptoms set in, but I didn't know it at the time. I just thought it was like lag over from hallucinogens and psychedelics.
So was that due to you going to the war?
I didn't go. I was stateside. I
Okay.
filled in for the deployed units.
I know some people that when they go overseas and go to the war, they experience post traumatic stress syndrome, which can lead to a lot of stuff. I didn't know that's what contributed to your issues or whatnot.
No, I was what the load was is I was working like I was living with a church sponsor family, and I was taking intro to seminary, and I backed out of that. Uh, I was doing the youth activities director. I was a janitor with the a medical janitor with the son of the church youth group sponsored, and I was doing that, and I was doing my drills.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in trouble with the law uh, over something, and I lost my place, and I moved in with a roommate, and that didn't work out. I mean, there's like so much instability like set me off, and then I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, of course I didn't know I was losing my mind, but I got the idea that by going to church group missions, outreach missions, we'd go to Berkeley, and in Berkeley, thank you, Lily. And in Berkeley, we'd go to do outreach on the campus. The churches would do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I took interest in the people that we were witnessing to, or supposed to be witnessing to, and I'd listen to them. And as a child, I'd ran into a few hobo jungles and stuff, and I met a few hobos and stuff, and I took an interest in that. Like, oh, I wonder what that's like. So when things started to fall apart, I said, I'll give that a try, because it doesn't take any effort to drop
Mm-hmm.
out. So I walked off the grid. I did some hitchhiking. I squatted. I got involved in like activist stuff. So,
So you were active. You still there?
yeah,
So you got involved in activist stuff.
yeah. I was actually part of a pirate radio station, one of the first ones that really started the movement in Santa Cruz, California. But I never really like jived fully with those people. I've been to a few protests and stuff, but it just started to like conflict with like with other concepts and philosophies I had accepted over time. But I gave it everything that I gave it. It's like I said, I was a dabbler. I'd
Mhm.
look into things and without really committing to them.
Were you ever hardcore like in the drug scene and whatnot?
Psychedelics.
Okay.
I followed the dead. I followed the Grateful Dead.
So
My
he
first trip.
really did Constantine.
The what? Go ahead.
He mentioned that you followed the great. He thought you followed the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. I man. I my first time I tripped, I was 16. I took a half a quarter hit of four-way window of four-way window pane Goonie birds, and I
I
went to
have
the
no
King
idea what that
Diamond
is,
concert.
but
That's one of the last pure strains of LSD.
okay. So did you ever become addicted to it?
Oh, I don't really think there are cases of people that abuse it and become dependent on it, but not like there's no real substance to it that would make you addictive. Uh, Abuse it and it'll shut you down eventually. I mean, you don't really crave it when it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
unless you got an addictive personality. But I didn't have an addictive personality at that point. The addictive stuff came later. I lost my first place to crack and my second place to meth.
No, I've
So
never done a drug before on my day of my life, Constantine. So that was all news to me. So that drug, does it like help you get up, or does it help you? Does what effects does it has on you? Does it have on you?
what? Which drug?
The drugs that you were mentioning.
Well, my core addiction
You still there? Hello? I think you try to come back in. Yeah, I don't know what happened with him. It opens your throat. Like I said, I've never done a drug before, a day before in my life. I don't know what the effects are. Hopefully he'll come back in. Anyways, his story is that was homeless for about 10 years. No, I have no interest in drugs. To each their own, but I have no interest in drugs and whatnot. Give me 1 second. Let me see where he's at. What's up, T-Coy? I'm just checking on him. Hopefully he can come back in. No, I've never been addicted to meth. I've never took a drug a day in my life. I guess you could say I'm straight edge. Just never interested me. So I don't know where he's. What about a painkiller? I've never even. I don't know. I've never even had anything that would require me to take painkillers. Like I've never had surgery or anything like that. So I've never had a reason to take painkillers. It sounds like aspirin or something like that, but I've never had like surgery or anything done that would require me to take painkillers. I don't know what's going on with him. Give me 1 second. Yes, I had my wisdom teeth removed. Funny, funny, funny. I know. I see what he did there, Elijah. Got some funny guys in here. I don't know what's going on with him. I'll give him a couple minutes and then I guess move on. You never got Yes, I got prescriptions for cough syrup for cold. That's some old school song right there. Your Wi-Fi is sketchy. Try to log in or reboot your Wi-Fi, or whatnot. Oh, there we go. There we go, brother.
If I go out again, you'll know what it is.
Yeah, I understand. I'm glad that you have it. Constantine said you're in the 12th dimension.
Uh yeah, I'm a multi-dimensional vaporous being.
So, what did you come up with your name? That's an interesting name.
Uh, you know what a paracosm is?
No, I don't.
Word of the day. I'll give you a hint. J.R. Tolkien had one of the most famous ones.
JR Token.
Yeah, Middle Earth is his paracosm.
Oh,
It's an imaginary world.
like Harry Potter.
I would say that's a paracosm.
Okay, fair
But
enough. So
that's go ahead.
we were talking off before you broke off that um you were with like the protests and stuff like that.
Yeah, I couldn't I conflicted a lot with the protest scene. I never really got accepted into it. Like most things I did, I'm only dipping my toes in it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I saw how it became how the anarchist movement started leaning more into socialism, and I kind of didn't like that idea.
So you grew up? Did you like go to Woodstock?
No, no, no.
Were you around?
I'm only
Okay,
50 years old.
okay. I didn't know how old you were. Whatnot. I don't know. Woodstock was big back in the day. So I know you said you were homeless for about 10 years. Do you want to talk about just the events that were leading up to that? Or did something happen to contribute to you being homeless for so long or whatnot?
Uh, my well, the first time I walked off, I became a tramp, a hobo, and I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did some then I ended up in Santa Cruz where I squatted under a bridge for a number of years, and that was kind of a community that I felt almost a family. Well, it was a family that uh, it was awesome, man. Some of the most key points of me like learning about who I was and being challenged by other members under the bridge, other squatters, and I really found my grounding there. And so much so that I actually worked my first two jobs in a long while. I started working temp service there, and then I went on to work a der Wiener Schnitzer, living under a bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and then I started my job back with Chevron, and that's how I got stability and ended up back into a place. But I got too comfortable and started getting in bad influences and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
So did you like, were you bad with money and whatnot, or did you turn to things that would
yeah,
um
careless, reckless.
okay.
Uh, I got kicked out. Basically, I had already quit. I decided to quit the drugs because my landlord warned me. I don't want those drug people around here, and and I'm gonna have a problem if you keep it up. And I'd put that aside, but I was still interested in the ladies because they used to come into my work. I used to work graveyard, and I'd meet them there, and then I'd let them stay at my place during the day, and that became a problem with him. So I lost my first place. I was a little shack. It was an extended stay hotel, and they converted the former care or uh, home housekeeper's storage area into a unit, and I was staying in that. And I was
So
working Chevron graveyard.
whenever you lost that place, did you become depressed? Did you? I mean, I can imagine,
Yeah.
losing. Uh,
Self-sabotage, man.
yeah.
It's one of the lesser known symptoms of schizoaffective, you know.
So, did you have family members try to reach out to help you, or did you want any
Uh
help? Or
my I never really kept in touch with my family. A few times I'd call in to check on my mail or other stuff, and that's about it, call around the holidays and stuff like that. Uh,
so there was nobody to help say, "Hey, the road that you're going on is not a good road." Try to
well,
mentor
my
you.
brother, when I met with my father, here's how I met with my father. I was living in well, check this out. While I was on the road and hitchhiking, I came across this couple and we hitchhiked through Monterey, California. And we ended up there after a dead show, and there was a fair starting, and they had a carnival working there. So we went on as green help. It was called B&B Carnival, and we worked the rides. Hey,
Mhm,
Decoy, and I worked the Willie the Whale for B&B, and we got paid, and we had a good time with it. And then I went back on the road for a bit, up through Oregon or another. I went on another trip, and I ended up coming to Santa Cruz, getting situated under the bridge, and meeting people through the bridge. And we met. This was like a year and a half later,
mhm,
and this girl, she said, "Well, I've been going to Monterey with my aunt to the carnival, working the joints." And I mentioned I was from Santa Cruz, and one of the guys that worked there said, "Do you know a guy named Dabbler?" Because my mom had given him some information on me because he wanted to get a hold of me, and he remembered that nickname, and he remembered Santa Cruz, and she happened to come down to the bridge every now and again because she was a friend of the founder of the squad. So
mhm,
she brought me a letter that said, "I'm working for B&B. Come down to the fair and we'll meet up." And I said, "Well, I've already worked for them." The time that I was there working the rides, he had skipped that show because he had busted a bone,
mhm,
and he stayed in their winter quarters. So I would have met my dad if walking onto that carnival had he not had he been on that show. Isn't that coincidental?
it's funny how things like events take place,
Intersection.
and yeah, it's funny how life works things out sometimes. So, was this before he killed your grandfather, or was this
No, that was well after he'd done his time already.
okay? I didn't know. So,
So,
are you guys close now, or
well, here's the thing about my dad. My dad was a great friend, but at the time I wanted to see what he would do as a dad. And he just my mom was right. I always told him, prove my mom wrong and show me that you can be a dad and a friend. But I ended up leaving him in Yuma, Arizona, and he just got too much to handle.
Mhm.
He's an interesting individual. He's a heavy drinker. That's why I never got into drinking. He's the reason I never got into drinking.
So, was there ever a time where you were like, okay, I don't like the road that I'm on? Um, Let me see if I could change my ways. Because it's been 10 years. So, I don't know if you were like homeless that entire time period, or did you have times where you were trying to get back on your feet and whatnot?
Well, yeah. When I was under the bridge, I got that some temp jobs, and that made it like brought me some stability and some options. And then I got my Chevron job. I started dating a girl, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna date a girl, I have to get a place. So I got that shack, and that was my taste of like, hey, I can do this, Uh, but I got too comfortable,
Hmm.
you know. I got
Yeah.
carried away. I got careless, and I lost that place. And then I thought, okay, so the second time I got placed into housing by a housing program, and just barely got into a place. And I started working at one Chevron. That Chevron uh, uh, was changing ownership, and so they put me in another Chevron up the street. They referred me to them, and I started working at that one.
Mm-hmm.
And when the company changed, they hired this guy that was a narcissist, and they made him assistant manager, and that was the worst thing I ever experienced. And I was doing meth at the time and dealing with the fallout from an abusive narcissist at the station,
Mm-hmm.
and that ended up driving me off the job and driving me back into homelessness because I was so used to just giving up,
Mm-hmm.
just throw up my hands. And I was never afraid of losing everything or just dropping everything. I was never afraid of that. I like how Constantine says, I'm a reformed anarcho commune. And yeah, man, uh, what became of anarchy, man? When anarchy is split like that, that showed me that it's no better than religion. I do not care for religion. I do not care for isms in general. I'm just never. I have a spiritual path,
Mm-hmm.
more Taoist. You know what Taoism is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I'm a subgenius or an apatheistic subgenius dudist Discordian.
So that religion, that path, did you find it whenever you're during the time periods that you're homeless, or?
Well, you can always go to the Sally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you, homelessness and ministries. You can always go and suck the tit of the church, right? You can get an ear banging and get some grub. But uh, the more the churches I've always been attracted to were non-denominational.
Mm-hmm.
See, from the third grade until high school, I was involved in ministry activities, and I used to go to youth groups just to get out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up getting, in the end, I ended up getting accused of inappropriate conduct toward a niece of one of the sponsor family, and I mean, uh, like something saved my bacon, and my mentor like backed me and said, "This just doesn't seem like this guy." So I should tell you that. Uh,
So you had
what
some false
happened was
accusations.
I was working in a Bible bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to get tickets for shows, and I got the package of all packages. It was a three band show. It was like some big hope for something, and there was backstage tickets available. So it was not only entry, but it was also backstage. And I got that package. I was the one that drew because we used to draw out of a hat, and I got it. Well, the niece of my sponsor family, she'd stay with them for extended periods,
Mm-hmm.
and I had already been talking to somebody else about giving them the tickets, and she mentioned that she wanted the tickets, but I found out that she wanted them. She had a friend, a secular friend, that was problematic. We later found out that she was writing bad checks, uh, or somehow getting like money from one of her relatives. She was a bad kid. And what had happened was when I said no, her friend got mad because she wanted the money for selling the tickets. So
Mm-hmm.
she set the niece up to accuse me of touching her inappropriately.
That's crazy, man.
The only thing that saved me was that I was in the room the whole time playing Nintendo. And when you save on Metro, it saves the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So uh my
That's what saved
they
you from.
Yeah, they brought me in before the church board, and they're like, and I said, no, no, I did not do this. Call the cops and let me make my case because I did not do this. Well, my
Yeah.
mentor believed me. He said, we got to find some way to clear you of this. And I said, I was in the room the whole night, and I realized, wait a minute, there's a timestamp, and that saved me.
I mean, even just throwing around the accusations that you did something like that, that's could be detrimental to you, especially in the
And they,
churches where,
well,
yeah.
she had to write an apology. She had to write an apology letter to me. She had to write an apology letter, and she had to stop seeing her bad influence friend who set her up to
So,
the whole thing.
I mean, I can. So, how did the church treat you after that? Did they still were they kind of sketchy around you, or did they?
I what ended up happening was I got busted with a BB gun in my pocket going home one night, and I got community service. So I was doing community service at the church, and one night I didn't really care for because they had changed leadership. It wasn't the original leadership that I came to the church under, and I knew that, and there was a shifting in everything. It was kind of like in a holding area. So I had gotten assigned community service for my BB gun, and I had I had put some graffiti on the door and removed it the next day. Well, the second time I tried that, I got caught.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of burned that bridge for me.
So,
And
would you say that's what grew your distaste for religion?
burning the bridge, uh, and I was pretty much at that point. I was already still bitter over the whole accusation stuff and how they handled it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just kind of my way of like killing two birds with one stone, like shaking them up a little bit and also uh creating, more community service for myself.
Yeah. So I know you've been said you were homeless for 10 years. Can you describe like some of the times like people how people would treat you for the most part? Were people more try to stay away from you, or did you have people ridicule you, whatnot?
Well, here's the thing. I was in Santa Cruz, California, which happens to be like a mecca for homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different vibe, but in different like when I was hitchhiking, I learned the various like, you know, everybody likes a tramp until they've stayed around too long. Tramps passing through, everybody loves them. But if you're in town too long, you'll start catching we don't want you around, you're becoming problematic. You know, nobody likes a tramp longer than they need to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Until the honeymoon period ends, you know. Like,
They want you around just
and
for a short time period, and then after that,
yeah,
you wore out your welcome, pretty much.
yeah, and there's a lot of like the other thing about Santa Cruz is there's a lot of like support within the homeless community. Like the homeless look out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you keep yourself presentable, you don't become a problem. I met my problems and stuff. I've met uh people that have abused or exploited the homeless, like those nonprofits. A lot of those nonprofits, activists, the trust fund babies that start nonprofits are usually in it to so they can cover their asses for taxes, and it gets really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen towns that run you off quick. When I was hitchhiking, they're like, "You got to go. The church is giving you a ticket. Here you go," or somebody to pick you up to the next place. I've had a lot of strange encounters. That would be all I could cover. I actually have a couple that's right. Going over my memoirs as I transcribe them from my journals.
Did you
So I
have
kept
people
journals.
like try to reach out, try to give you like offer you some help and support?
When I started needing help, it was there, and
Okay.
it comes down to what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Uh, but when I was homeless, I was creative about how I'd like one time I'd panhandle, but I got to the point where I'd be creative of a creative panhandle. Like once in Berkeley on a 3-day weekend, a holiday weekend, I made $75 panhandling. by selling souvenir panhandling signs, custom made.
Panhandling is huge in Florida, where I live in Tampa. Um, they even had to make a law about that. The people that panhandle just to keep them from doing it. But people would make a lot of money just to stand on the
Yeah.
street and hold something out for money. They
I'm up here
even,
in Citrus. I'm up here in Citrus County.
yeah, they even like did a news story. A person that was claiming to be homeless, um, panhandled for a short time period, and then they walked off to the Rolex, the Rolls Royce. I'm sorry, and they had all kinds of money and whatnot, but they were just panhandling for a living.
I like Watson Holmes. I love this guy's political views. His references are going over the host head, though. Have him explain what subgenius means,
I'm sorry,
etc.
I'm from Generation X. I'm sorry about that, but
Would you like to
I
hear
know what
about
subgenius
subgenius?
means. I know what subgenius means. So, what
We're
else
down with
did you
J.
do for money besides
But let
the?
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Have you pulled the wool over your own eyes?
Have I pulled the wool over my own eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times I've had
Did
to
have you given your money to Bob?
Bob Sanders.
No. Have you given your money to Bob Dobbs?
I don't know who that is.
That's subgenius.
Okay,
Church of the Subgenius.
you learn something new every day. I like what Constantine said. It's good to have some wise individuals. I'm sure you've had plenty of stories of your life experience and whatnot. What did you do for food?
Sometimes churches. Some food not bombs. Dumpster dive. We did a lot of dumpster diving, but we were creative about dumpster diving. We'd arrange with the stores. One of the guys I stayed with, the founder of the squat, would actually unplug, uh, go behind the things and unplug them, and then they'd have to throw them out because they can't so we'd have like stock up on that. A lot of different ways to eat. When you get creative, man, and every day you have to commit to that. So there's
Mm-hmm.
always gonna be, depending on the city you're in, like towns that don't really have a lot of homeless, you just go and you offer to do a little work in the back of a store or something, and they'll give you something, or just offering to do work will they'll say no, but here, you go to the back of the restaurants after hours and say, do you have any what they call shed off? Like during the day, they'll make something. And somebody says, "Well, I don't want it made that way," and they'd shed it off.
Mm-hmm.
So they call that the shed off. You have any shed food,
So, what are some words of wisdom that you would say to like some misconceptions about homeless people?
Not all homeless people want to be homed. There's a distinction. Just like everything, there's subcategories. You have tramps that just don't want to be on the grid. You have people that are homeless by circumstances. Uh, I've been both. I've been by choice and by circumstances, and it's hard when you get something together and you feel you're losing it again. There's been times where I've had stuff in storage lost. All my collectibles were taken away when I lost my storage because I got thrown in jail
Mm-hmm.
over my second offense, because instead of doing my second round of, they upped my community service when I got caught graffitiing the church, and instead I went on tour with the Dead to Nevada. And when I came back the first night, I tried to stay on Berkeley campus, and the campus police caught us and said, "Sorry, we got to run your name." And they took me back to Fremont, and Fremont said, "Revoke your bail, and you get 30 days for violating." So so check that out. I was at Camp Parks, which is right next to the jail.
Mm-hmm.
Could see at Camp Parks, I could see the jail. Well, when I was in jail, looking out the window, I could see Camp Parks where we
So
did
you,
reserve unit.
yeah, that's interesting. How long were you in jail?
30 days.
Oh, so it wasn't that long. You just went back to the
Yeah.
camp.
Then after I got out of there, I met a girl and I was staying with her for a while, and I tried to get it together, but my mind was too far gone at that time. I had already started to get hallucinations and stuff and delusions, and but I always had my core mission. I was always I'm gonna make a difference somehow, but I need time to think what it is,
Yeah.
and I needed the stability around me to finally get that and inspiring people because I'm like a bard that way. When I get around inspiring people, I'm inspired to inspire them more.
So have you who has inspired you besides your teachers that you mentioned earlier in the interview? Is there anybody now?
My friend Cosmo, he taught me eclectic learning,
Hmm.
and he's very eccentric. Uh, a lot of reading, a lot of hanging around campuses and stuff. Uh, I did a lot of production with. I did production with because I had a lot of time to volunteer, so I'd volunteer at the community access
Hmm.
cable. I helped produce a couple college radio stations because we used to listen to the radio stations. And I knew a girl at the college, so I'd be up at the college and they'd say, we're having a show, and I brought them donuts. Well, I stole donuts. I got them fresh donuts because they would eat the stale donuts from the faculty office. And one night I just changed the donuts and I brought them up fresh donuts. And I liked the show. It was a metal show. And why don't you guys try this? We have little segments and stuff. And so they launched a few. They liked me.
Yeah.
And I always you know, something when you get around inspiring people, you get inspired to like to see them fully become who they are and succeed.
You
You
seem
know.
like the type of person that you don't meet a stranger. Like you're able to talk to just about anybody.
Oh yeah, man. I'm one of my skill sets is the cold contact.
Hmm.
You know, and it's not just meeting a stranger, but reading them and getting like, is this a brief contact and make the most out of it, leave an impression, and and like that spark of being. You know what the spark of being is? Some people call it a soul.
I went out that last part. Go ahead and repeat what you're saying. I apologize.
The spark of being is kind of like what I consider, well, my version of the soul, and it's how you radiate from that into the greater being.
Okay. So
So
that's just your. That's how you radiate.
it's how we all radiate.
So how? I mean, uh,
And you're drawn to people that are on your frequency.
your aura. Okay, I got what you're saying now. So how are you doing now?
I'm on a vet HUD housing, which is called HUD-VASH. Uh, I had been boarding with a guy, really really great guy. He's a former inmate. He did like 20 something years for attempted murder up in Michigan, and he came down to Florida, take care of his mom, and get his own place because he was making money in prison running
Hmm.
books and stuff. And he was a fascinating person. And finally, he just said, "I can't board you anymore." So I was like, "All right." So I had a brief homeless spell. Uh, my symptoms got really bad. I wasn't taking care of myself. Uh, and somebody like just noticed it and said, "Man, let's get you some help." And I wandered into a vet's because I had I only had a year's worth of service, but it was enough, for me to stay at a vet's shelter. And they put me up. And about a month later, I got into this place because they really took to my case and said,
So you're
you
writing
have it
a
in you.
memoir.
The what?
You're writing a memoir. How's that process come along?
Ooh, man, it's hard because it's chicken scratch, the stuff that the notes I took and stuff.
Hmm.
But it's really like because that in therapy, going to therapy, it's really like mapped it out for me. I didn't know how far back when my symptoms really got me. And it like the self sabotage, and I could see the moments in my life when I did that.
Hmm.
I'm an adult survivor, and I there's a lot of that. I mean, you repress that kind of stuff, and it grows. It's like plugging a sewer. You know what I mean? It ferments, and it leaks into your daily stuff. So,
So, how long have you been writing the memoir?
uh, that's what it is. Well, the reason I mean, let me tell you the reason I came to Florida first. Uh, I was on the streets in Santa Cruz by circumstances this time. And I wanted to get, you know, I was I was reckless. I was just getting stupid. Um, and I ended up pissing on the girlfriend of a major meth cartel family. And then I ended up getting one of them busted. I didn't know they were connected, but I had a contract put out on my head. So I had to get out of there. Well, I met a girl online on a vampire site, and she really took an interest in me, and she inspired me, and I inspired her. And she had me come out to Florida one time. I stayed for a while. We had our fun, and I went back. Well, the second time I came out, I was running. I had to get out of there, out of the county, because it was a large family. And I came here, and through her, uh, I was homeless again, but this time, kind of like it was good. It was a good time. It was a good time. And but I said, well, I'm gonna try to get housing here. So uh, before I left California, I started seeking mental health stuff because I checked into a behavioral health unit, and
Hmm.
they said when you recover from meth and your psychosis is gone, you still there's something we want you to check. Like get follow up. And I did that, and they said no, it's not just it wasn't just the psychosis. You're bipolar. And I mentioned about the voices and the delusions and stuff, and they said, "Well, you're schizoaffective." And I was like, "Whoa!" And then they do the what's it called? Do the local mental health facility. I got a really good caseworker, and she got me a place. So, and I messed that up. I sabotaged it. I was there for about 4 years, and the program ended, and the full rent came, and I was in revolving debt, and because I was just spending money left and right, and
So, are you good now? Are you at a stable
yeah, I'm
place?
stable now. I've been like doing therapy, taking meds, and I got a caseworker and stuff. So I mean, coming like when you have a period of stability, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Uh, when you hit that groove with whatever you're doing, there's always that groove. Let's look at some of the yeah, nonprofits and charities are mostly scams to line the that's something as a homeless person you see a lot, man. Like they're out there and then they agitate the homeless scene too. A lot of the activists that claim to be like for the homeless
Hmm.
and they exploit the homeless and they agitate the scene and they get the cops turned against the homeless. That's another problem with that, man.
It's like the Salvation
Everybody
Army.
every movement has some individuals in it with ulterior motives. And that's where the problems come.
Yeah, it's like the Salvation Army. They were like they're everywhere, especially during the holidays. But I mean, I've heard stories about it being a scam. I mean, like not all the money actually goes to where it's supposed to go.
United or UNICEF too. Um, do you know about 311
No, I didn't.
or 411 311 is you call it and you're supposed to be able to get services and stuff. and all those services are dead because they've either lost their nonprofit status because of abuse or misspending,
Or
and it all goes to like and a lot of problems with the cities with problems that have like major homelessness. It's they're contracting out solutions to people that don't really have solutions, but just want to make money off of donate. You know what I mean? Like, I for every dollar they spent or for every $1,000 they get, they put $5 into the homeless problem, and the administration gets the rest.
that's crazy,
It,
man. People try to scam anybody nowadays just to make money.
it's worse than scams. Graft is worse than scams because it has uh a legitimate lean to it. You know, it seems more legitimate. So graft is way worse than scams, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Constantine, that's exactly right about the Salvation Army. They're claimed to be a good organization, but they try to rip people off and donate stuff to them so they can make money off what you give them.
The Goodwill. I like
And
the
Goodwill.
Goodwill because a lot of people have like bulked and gotten more out of the Goodwill
Yeah,
than by grafting, by righteous grafting, in my opinion, because uh I mean, the Goodwill's supposed to help out the homeless, and they did for a while. Their intentions were good, but like I said, people get in there with bad intentions, and it just, you know,
so while we're wrapping things up, is there anything that you would tell your younger self through all the trials and tribulations that you've been through and whatnot?
wow, that's a good one. Uh, uh, no, I'd let myself figure it out again. I wouldn't tell myself anything. No cheaters.
You would want to give yourself any pointers or anything like that?
Uh, I would have told myself your creativity is going to take you farther than you think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's one thing I've gathered from you. I've learned a lot from you during this past hour. You've seemed like a creative person, and that's another misconception about homeless people that are dumb. They're
Failures. They're
uneducated.
failures. They're
Yeah, they fail you.
failures. They have nothing to contribute.
Yeah, exactly. That they're not smart. They deserve everything they get. They're beggars, stuff like that. A
Yeah,
lot of misconceptions.
yeah. But if you take a moment every now and again to get to know one, you might be surprised because
Yeah,
not like you just need a handout. No, no, no. Just uh, some of them need a hand up.
yeah.
Some of them need a handout, and some of them will scam you, as you know. But isn't that on the home side too, though?
It's true.
You know, there's no distinction. It's just the four walls and the roof.
You don't know what that person went through to become homeless. It's funny
Yeah.
how life changes. One thing you've
Just
got
as there are just as there are people on the brink of becoming housed, there are people on the brink of losing their house.
exactly. People don't know what they lost. They could have lost their job, their car could have got repossessed, everything, and then they became
One
homeless.
mortgage payment,
Yeah,
one mortgage payment away from losing it all.
yeah. That's why I don't like to judge people like that because you never been in their shoes. How can you say they're beggars or stuff like that? You don't know what contributed to them being homeless,
Right.
especially during the holidays, man. Did you have people, especially like, reach out to you during the holiday season?
Oh yeah, holiday seasons were always good to but in like my thing was always the 4th of July parties and stuff. You go there, you eat for a couple good days, all the meals and stuff, you know. So, you know, everybody gets merry around the holidays and giving and but
So, if there's any questions while we're wrapping things up, we can go ahead and get those rolling in for them. I appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
So, how long
Uh,
have you been stable?
going on. Well, that little hiccup there, but uh, been almost 6 years now with a hiccup.
That's awesome, though, because some
Yeah,
people they keep repeating the cycle. And we've gone 6 years. I mean, we all have hard times, but it's awesome that you've been stable and
yeah.
um.
I've checked myself into behavioral health a couple times because I had like crashing moments. Like I fallout hits me differently, so I try to be preemptive. Like I don't feel safe until I like have like a fallout shelter built. You know what I mean?
So, was there an event that caused you to do this long period of stability? Would your point be like, okay, I've had enough of this. I want to be stable and try to
Just get my
provide
ducks in
my
a row.
own.
Getting diagnosed uh really made, and then getting around the right people. Uh, being preemptive and taking initiative
Mhm.
and making the most out of what help I could get and just
You are who
asking
you,
for help. Just
yeah, you
asking for help, man. At
that's
the
the
right
big
time.
thing.
I've always been resourceful because, like I said, one of my first jobs was working a reference desk for seniors. So I've always like, I don't, and the system to get help is hard now, man.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a lot of like stuff listed. Well, just go here and they'll take care of it. And you find out they don't. And when everything was falling apart on my first place here, I was trying to get help, and I just get the runaround, man, and it hurts so bad. The services got to be checked. There's a lot of there's an undercurrent, and if you get caught in that undercurrent, you just want a life raft, man. And then they throw you a life raft, and it turns out to sink. And it hurts, man.
Especially people that are in that situation, it's hard for them to ask for help anyways, and they get the run around. It's just even more humiliating.
Yeah, it's like why bother? They get to the point where it's like why bother?
Yeah, and that's what can help them prolong the cycle. They feel like there's
Oh
nobody
yeah.
that's willing to help them, or even when they ask for help, nobody helps them. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Uh,
You do
just
that, you're like,
numbing out with drugs and alcohol, man.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm always gonna be there, man. Always gonna be around to inspire you, man. I'm always gonna have my questions for you. Uh, I really dig what you do, man.
Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate it, man. I've never had somebody that's, from your lifestyle, the things that you've gone through. I mean, I've had different people, I've had catchers, I've had people that had sexual abuse. So I'm glad that I came on, or you came on, and just described your life and the tribulations and trials that you went through. Because you
and
can
there's some highs
inspire.
in there too, though. There's some highs in there too,
Yeah.
some exciting stuff, and maybe we'll do a follow up sometimes where
Okay.
I'll like. So,
I'd be more than happy to do a follow up. I mean, we could probably do 2 or 3 episodes of you just giving us words of wisdom, man. Even though I'm from
yeah,
Generation X, some of that stuff went over
share
my
my
head. But
experience. A
yeah,
lot of
I
what
gained a
I've
lot from you.
experienced A lot of what I've experienced trying to explain it would give me excellences, which is excellences is this emotional state of being where you exhaust yourself trying to explain something to somebody that will never get it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I've always wanted to learn something new. That's one thing I like being challenged. So you definitely challenged me to help, you know, learn something that I didn't know before.
yeah.
Thank you, Constantine. So, any last words while we're wrapping things up?
I love the community. I love everybody out there. Uh, y'all inspire me to inspire you, man.
You're an inspiration.
May your spark of being radiate strongly.
You're an inspiration to us. Like I said, I gained a lot from you, being from Generation X. I know I'm a lot younger than you, but as some of the stuff, like you said, like I said, went um a little past me. But it's all good. I'm glad I've learned from you.
All right, take care, my friend.
All right, no problem. Have a good night.
You too.
No, I don't know what generation I'm in. I'm from the 80s, so I can't. I think Generation X was probably before me. So I would say Generation Y, maybe. But anyways, what's up, Joe? Appreciate you guys for coming on or joining us. It was definitely an interesting show, to say the least. I gained a lot of. So I'm a millennial. Thank you, Eli. You learn something new every day. I thought the millennials were like in the 90s, 2000s, but thank you for that. So again, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Watson. Thank you, Constantine, as always, for showing up and supporting me. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later.